Now it's time for your weekend tech tip, brought to you by Chevy Silverado.
Welcome back, everyone. Real quickly, we've got a phone call from Richard from Kenmore. He calls all the time to share info from up north, so we're going to try to help him out as well. Looks like you're looking for a spot to launch the boat, Richard?
Hey, yeah, all of our opportunities really messed up here. I'm going to be coming down there this weekend. If I launch at Fred's, am I going to be in the game?
Oh, absolutely. If you want to fish the head of the channel or the deadline down at the mouth of the Willamette where it goes into the Columbia, Fred's Marina is by far your best place to launch. One, it's clean, it's safe, great people. Generally, there's eyeballs around, which I'm a big fan of. So yeah, Fred's for sure would be the place to launch, Richard.
Perfect. That's my only question. I will be down there this week. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Good luck. Be safe, and we'd love to hear how you do, okay? Take care, partner. Okay, so this started something. Now, listen, I'm no idiot. I've been bobber fishing my whole life. Chased every species you can think of with a bobber. I don't care what it is. Warm water fish all the way to, salmon steelhead, of course, right? But not sockeye. This is interesting. Tell us when you would do this and when you might have an advantage of bobber fishing for them.
The bobber fishing for sockeye on an incoming tide.
Okay, I love that.
At the same time, you're going to also be targeting steelhead too.
Right.
So you have the choice between sockeye and steelhead. So the same technique that we're using for steelhead on an incoming tide or on a tide change is very, very effective. So basically, we're just running the bobber and everything else. We're casting into those zones close to the bank where they normally run. So anywhere from 3 to 7 feet. So we're not putting a lot of length on this. And then, so that's what we're doing. The same process. I wouldn't change anything the way you're fishing for steelhead. Now you're targeting sockeye.
I like that you've got the split shot on there to help get the shrimp back down. I see that you like a lot of us, just a straight hook, nothing else on there.
Nothing else on there.
You can get your coon shrimp on there. Same thing with just running the egg loop over the tail.
Correct.
So don't overthink these things, right? I think you kind of just nailed it pretty simply. It's the exact setup that you're going to use for steelhead in most situations. And I will admit, it's rare that you're going to find a lot of us using a split shot so close, but on a bigger river like the Columbia.
Correct.
And fishing relatively shallow, right? It makes great sense with nothing but just that coon shrimp down there just kind of dangling along.
Exactly. You're going to have some tidal influence still either up or down going out. So your weight's going to be there, but you need something like the split shot to kind of take it with the current a little bit, take it down there. So you don't want this floating up too much.
So let's say that there's somebody that's out on the Columbia in any number of places. I mean, on the Oregon side, Washington side.
Correct.
And maybe you're just sitting on the anchor. Maybe you're even trying to catch a Chinook if it were open. It's not open below Bonneville right now. Let's just make sure that that's clear. Or sitting on the anchor trying to catch a sockeye or a steelhead. If you had a couple dudes in the boat, and say 3 guys, you got 2 rods that's out the back, it wouldn't be a bad idea to be just casting towards the bank.
Correct.
Maybe in the shallower section and floating that bobber along.
Correct. The same process you would do on the smaller rivers, you would actually do the same thing. Just cast upstream, say 12, you'd be looking at 2 o'clock and let it float. Open your bail, let it go and follow the current all the way down.
Yeah, you might be able to really have some interesting days.
Yeah.
And it can also turn you on to where the fish actually are.
Yeah.
Right? If you did set up your sled someplace and, you're fishing straight out the back of the boat like all of us would be doing typically, and then you make your cast over to the bank and get bit. We've talked about this kind of in the past. We're running a side planer while you're on anchor towards the bank to kind of see what's going on over there. That might just tip you off to pull the anchor and slide over 2 boat widths or a boat width, whatever it might be, to get into that right line where the sockeye are. Because remember, I can't stress this enough, and if I am overstressing it, let me know. But sockeye run in a very specific line. It'll drive you nuts.
Correct. And you could move 10 feet and be off.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, so this is actually a really good locator too. So we're running the 2 rigs off the back of the boat and casting to check to see if they're closer into the bank.
If there was 1 bite on a bobber, I'm not running I'm bobber fishing.
I'm bobber fishing too, because that's fun to see this just go down and disappear. It's like, oh, there it is. And then you don't know because you might even get a steelhead too.
Yeah, which is perfect. By the way, they're both delicious, but the sockeye, we talked about this prior to the show. What would you rather have today? Would it be a Chinook or would it be a sockeye?
I would be a sockeye. It would be a sockeye. And to that point of saying it's great table fare, guys, sockeye with the water temperatures rising really quick on the Columbia, please put them on ice.
Good point.
Put them on ice. Get a bag, get something, get a cooler, and it's a shame to have that heat up.
Yeah, no, good point. And you make, I've used a lot of kill bags.
Yeah.
Your kill bag's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
If folks were going to be interested in, how do you do that? Because I say it this way because I use the same blocks of ice that I've used for years, the exact same ones.
Yeah.
And you can tell on a 75, 80 degree day that those blocks would melt relatively quickly in some of the other products that are out there. I had it just last all day long until I got home to fillet the fish. My blocks of ice were still solid.
It's called insulation.
Is it? Okay, so it's just a different material?
It's a very, very highly dense insulation that we put together into our bags to keep things very cold. I have guys taking it up to Brewster 100 degrees and they have ice all day long.
Okay, well, I mean, seriously, I noticed that. Some of the stuff that you make, though, is so innovative, man. The rod holder is another one that I fell in love with. Myself and my buddies that I fished
Takes
with.
a getting used to.
Well, yeah, we're looking at it going,
what's this contraption?
it took one fish to go, I get it. I understand, because it was super simple. All right, so I don't want to get too far off the steelhead and sockeye thing. So you get tons of questions. Is there anything we want to make sure that we can try to answer for folks before we wrap up the interview?
You know, I would say just keep it basic. You can tie your own rigs, but we also manufacture a lot of the rigs to make it easier for you. So if you have any questions, Owen can answer them, I can answer them. There's a lot of good shops out there that can answer the questions for making it very basic for sockeye and steelhead.
Last question, when you're talking about this topic of sockeye and steelhead, it's easy to combine them. They do run in very similar lines. Again, steelhead are a little bit more adventurous, I guess. Baits, when you're talking about different coon shrimp, there's a lot of different pre-made versions that are out there. Millennials, Washington, Loonies.
Yes.
Not to pin you down on a specific brand, but is there any advice you can give for folks with those baits to maybe make them better, make them different?
Yes.
Different things that you like.
All of them really make good coon shrimp. All the commercial coon shrimp that you see out there in the jars, these guys have been fishing and they're all proven. They're all proven. The only advice I would have for you for steelhead and sockeye is grade them out, and you want the smaller coon shrimp to fit the hooks.
Gotcha.
Save your mediums for your salmon.
Gotcha. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be, I realize that we're going into fall Chinook and this and that.
Yeah.
But a coon shrimp on a fall Chinook, everybody said, oh God, it's 68 degrees. No, they don't really care. They got that 3.5 in front of it. You're still going to be using them for Chinook all the way through. Keep the little ones for the sockeye and everything else. Okay, well, number one, it's never enough time.
Yeah.
Number two, you've certainly helped out some folks, at least give them an idea. From the bank. Also, before we wrap it up, that double rig works out of a boat.
Out of the boat, on the back, drop it straight down. Now you got, if you have 3 guys in the boat, now you have 2, 4, 6 rigs sitting out. Your chance just went up.
You don't back it all the way out. You back it out far enough to where you got both of them fishing.
At a 45.
At a 45.
45, just like when we're trolling.
Perfect. All right. So there's certainly different things that you can do to be more effective. Now, when we come, I love how we tie these things together. It's called marketing, everyone. When we come back, we're going to have your deal of the week from Fisherman's Marine. I wonder what might be part of that. We'll be back in just a minute. Don't go anywhere.